Now all of the Chinese cores are safely under our control. It is still 1941, we have a very good industry, we have infinite manpower, we have good divisions which we are now going to make even better, and Japan is our puppet. We succeeded where the Mongols failed. Kami-Kaze didn't save Japan, this time it's China who dominates. Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. In the first episode of this series we started with Communist China as a small province in the middle of the mountains. No army and no economy. We are now controlling most of the Chinese cores, we have a huge army and our economy is growing fast. Despite that, the biggest challenge remains ahead of us. Japan is not going anywhere and we need to take back what is ours. So in today's video, I will first show you how to kick Japan out of our mainland, and then we will succeed where the Mongol failed, and invade Japan ourselves to end the war. If that sounds interesting, then this is the right video for you. Before we start, however, I would like to tell you a little story, directly related to the title of this video. Feel free to skip ahead if you're not interested. Now, in modern times, the word Kami-Kaze has unfortunately become notorious for suicide terror attacks. But I'm sure many of you already know that it is a Japanese word, and that it was used in World War II to describe Japanese pilots flying quite literally into the American fleet, ending the lives of their targets as well as their own. What you might not know is that the origin of the term is actually much older than that. Around the end of the 13th century, the Mongol Empire attempted one of the few invasions in the history of Japan. However, after the initial success, the Mongol fleet was wiped out by a violent typhoon, which allowed Japan to defeat the invaders and protect the mainland. The Japanese believed in the divine origin of this wind, which saved them from the Mongols. And so they called it the Wind of God. The word for God in Japanese is Kami, and the word for wind is Kaze, hence Kami-Kaze. Now, this is a cool little story, and I hope you enjoyed it. But there will be no divine wind saving the Japanese from us this time. Now, let's get things done before Mao becomes impatient. Of course, as usual, if you have been following the channel and enjoying the content I make, please do not forget to support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any doubts or suggestions for further improvements. That being said, let's start back where we left, exactly where we left. Of course, if you haven't watched the first episode of this run, make sure to do so and see exactly how we got to this point. I will also include a link to the playlist in the description of the video. So we can pick back up exactly where we left, which was after defeating China and the remaining warlords. We tricked Japan in the peace conference with an amazing strategy, and we were able to take actually everything from China and leave nothing to Japan. But the Japanese will not be very happy, as you can imagine, about that. So we need to prepare for the biggest challenge, which will be to fight Japan. And for that, we're also going to use another amazing trick. Now, if you look at the focus tree, there are several options here on the left, and we chose the middle one, the central one. Now, the left one is very useful because it allows you to join the Comintern, to join the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union is, of course, of great help when you need to fight Japan. While the central one creates our own faction. Right now we are in the mutual assistance block. Which is cool, but nobody will really join our faction, and nobody will help us against Japan. So that's bad, except we have the perfect solution for that, and it's a very simple one. We go here, we dismantle our faction. We offer a non-aggression pact to the Soviet Union, we start improving relations, and very soon, as you can see, we will be able to join their faction, the Comintern, and they will be of massive help when it comes to fighting Japan. Now, at the end of this guide, you will see once again another trick about peace conferences. Let's say that this Communist China guide is a masterclass, if I may, on peace conferences, because first we take everything from Japan without leaving them nothing, and then you will see what happens with the final peace conference. Usually you don't want to call allies into your wars because you need to share the war score with them. But again, you will see how we will manage them a bit later. Now, the other thing we want to do at this point is we want to check the focus that we are researching currently, and 24 days is not that much, so I'm actually going to cancel it because our next absolute priority is proclaim the People's Republic of China. So we're going to pick that one instead. If your focus is almost completed at this point, you can finish it and then do this one, but this has a higher priority. Then, as I mentioned, we are going to disband our faction and improve relations with the Soviet Union to join their faction as soon as possible. We're going to force deploy the infantry army that we were recruiting. To assign them another general. We also want to make sure that everybody is training. And we're going to recruit another 24 infantry divisions. Now at this point we can also finally upgrade the artillery and the infantry equipment, which we had been delaying for a while to make sure that we had enough. And in terms of production, we're going to set the artillery. We're going to set the production. In terms of production, we're going to set the artillery to 10, and everything else goes to infantry equipment. We also want to start making some convoys. Then we want to build infrastructures and tier 4 forts at the border with Japan. So I usually build them only in the area of Beijing, so something like this. In future, we can use our civilian factories to build more military factories in the high percentage provinces. Start with, of course, 100%, 80%, but also 60% is okay. Finally, we're actually going to start claiming one of the Japanese puppets. That shouldn't be needed because usually Japan immediately starts justifying on us and then they will declare war on us, which is a bit better because a defensive war is better than an offensive war in terms of malices. But in case Japan doesn't fabricate a claim on us, we will cover that too. Also for the sake of consistency, we will start a war with Japan more or less at the same time, regardless of that aspect. Now we need to set up our armies for the war against Japan, and for that we're going to select the main infantry, the best infantry we have. I give them a fallback line to cover the area of Beijing. A fallback line because Japan doesn't call all of the puppets at war at the same time, and so we cannot actually have a front covering all three, Japan, the puppet, and the two puppets. Another army, again we use a fallback line, we start from here and we go along the rivers to decrease the front a little bit, but especially to have the best possible front to protect. So a fallback line like this, we leave this land to the Chinese, to the Japanese, it doesn't really matter, and we stop them along the river. The remaining two armies will be needed to protect the coast from naval invasions. Japan will trigger and attempt a lot of naval invasions, so I usually set these armies to protect only naval bases and coastline. And I assign one to the northern part of China, let's say, not this one. So one to this area, and the second one, same thing, to this area here. So we are entirely protected from naval invasions from Japan. Now you would also have to adjust trade, but since we were a bit late with the end of the war, we can already pick export focus at this point, unless you already decided to go for export focus earlier. In this way we will need to import a bit less stuff, but we don't need tungsten at all, and we need less steel. So So now it's when export focus starts being significantly better than free trade, because now we do have resources. So in this way we don't lose all of them to trade. And with that, our setup is already done. We just need to join. Look at this, we can already do that. It's absolutely amazing. We can ask the Soviet Union kindly to join the Comintern, and that's perfect. So now the Soviet Union will help us against Japan. Let's see if the Japanese are scared enough not to claim us at all. In which case, we will declare war on them, no problem. You can use trains, boys, you know? We should have some trains. Sure. Well, the Japanese are still in our lands. Probably they cannot fabricate a claim yet. World War II is starting, but of course we do not care very much.
I am speaking to you from the cabinet room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, British Ambassador in Berlin.
Yeah, what I don't want is Churchill to talk all the time, though. Shut up. I do want the last army to be ready as soon as possible, so I will actually force deploy them. So we create the 5th army. We don't have any more commanders, so I'm going to promote one of the field commanders for this one. Okay. He's a very nice looking guy. And we can send this last army also to the front in Beijing and train them. Also, it looks like Japan is scared, so they are not fabricating a claim on us. And rightfully so. We did get the claim on their puppet, so whenever we are ready, we can start the war. At 150 political power, I'm going to pick the war industrialist so that we can build our military factories a bit faster. Of course, before we start a war on Japan, we want all of the forts to be ready. And by the way, even if Japan justifies on you right away, it will take them 150 days to get the claim. So we do have enough time in any case to prepare. In fact, in this case, we ended the war against China a bit later than usual. If you end it very early, it might be tricky because to join the Comintern, to join the Soviet Union, you do need the war tension to be fairly high. And World War II will guarantee that they always accept. But if you finish very early, then they might not accept in time, and Japan may be able to fabricate a claim on you. By the way, it's totally possible to do this even without the Soviet Union. But the Soviet Union is going to help and speed up the war, massively. Now, in terms of infantry equipment MIO, again, like for artillery, we are going to use a slightly different priority, prioritizing once again the production efficiency gain and the output, and then the usual stuff. Now, since Japan is too scared of us, unfortunately, we need to declare war on them, so we'll take some slightly bigger malices. That's okay, I just want my divisions to be fully trained for that.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday evening last, I received His Majesty's commission to form a new administration. It was the evident wish and will of Parliament and the nation that this should be conceived on the broadest possible basis.
Okay, I think we are ready. Our divisions are trained. Basically, if Japan is not fabricating on you, you're entirely free on when to declare war on them. But more frequently than not, they do fabricate a claim on you right away. So we're going to do it right now. And of course, we need to call the Soviet Union to help us immediately.
With the liberal sovereignty, the unity of the nation. The have agreed to serve.
Now let's slow down the game a little bit. We want to make sure that the Japanese cannot push us, at least not in here, ideally.
It was necessary that this should be done in one single day. On account of
Maybe we can stop training these guys.
the rigor of events.
Might struggle a little bit otherwise.
A number of other key petitions were filled yesterday, and
Also, the fact that Finland joined the Japanese faction is actually very good for us. So they will steal war score from the Soviet Union later on.
during tomorrow.
Okay, now also, since all of the puppets officially joined the war, we can actually have a proper front line, which is going to be much, much better. So let's do that.
This part of my task will be completed.
And the other thing we can do right away is we can take war bonds. Actually, no, you would be able to take war bonds if Japan declared war on you. But since we declare war on them, the war support is a bit lower.
Mr. Speaker agreed and took the necessary steps in accordance with the powers conferred upon him by the resolution of the House. At the end of the proceedings today, the adjournment of the House will be proposed until Tuesday, the 21st of May, with, of course, provision for earlier meeting if need be. The business to be considered during that week will be notified to members at the earliest opportunity.
Where is the naval invasion? I heard the sound of a naval invasion, but
By the
that's it.
resolution which stands in my name to record its approval of the steps taken and to declare its confidence in the new government. Sir, to form an administration of this
Okay, looks like the front is
taking
stabilizing. Still want to train these units.
be remembered
Okay, at 100 political power, we're going to pick the ground support advisor. Of course, we don't have any air force, so that air superiority is completely useless. The only reason why we pick this is for the air experience. We will need it later, so we need to start farming some air experience.
and that many preparations have to be made here. In this crisis, I hope I may be pardoned if I do not address the House at any length today. I hope that any of my friends and colleagues or former colleagues
Oh my god, Churchill, will you shut the fuck up? Now, one of the biggest advantages, of course, of having the Soviet Union involved in this is that the Japanese will need to waste a lot more of their divisions fighting on all fronts rather than focusing only on us. So of course, that's very convenient. And now we can also assign a proper front line to these guys.
This was a great trial.
Oh my god, Churchill! Shut up! Just keeps talking. He's unstoppable. Okay, attempted naval invasion. You need to keep an eye on the naval invasions, but with this setup, the Japanese should never be able to disembark. Actually, it's a bit cheesy, but it would be slightly better to let them disembark and then kill them, rather than stopping them right away, like we are doing here. Because in that way you destroy a lot of their divisions. We are not going to use that tactic, but that would be convenient. We're suffering a bit more than I'd like in here, though. So very soon it's time to start pushing the Japanese ourselves, put some pressure on them. Okay, now everyone is fully trained, the front is more or less stabilized. At this point we are going to start pushing into the occupied Japanese territories, and we want to do it along the coastline here. So the first idea is to get this part which is controlled directly by Japan, and we're going to do it with our main best offensive army. Although it says that it's not really good, as you can see it is very good. Japanese don't actually have that many divisions in here. And now as soon as we research the anti-air, we are going to start producing some. We're actually going to bring the production of both artillery and anti-air to 15, and we're going to take those factories all from infantry equipment, so something like this. And then we're also immediately going to add the support anti-air, well, immediately, as soon as you have the army experience, add the support anti-air to your infantry divisions. Let's make sure that these guys are fine, so shorten their front maybe a little bit here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Let's add the support anti-air. As you can see, the Japanese are busy on too many fronts and they are suffering a lot in here. So after this first initial push, we continue from here. And what we want to take is the coastline with a little bit of a buffer area. And we push all the way to these two supply hubs, except not like this, definitely not like this. Let's see if we can do it properly. Okay, so we want to push basically to these two supply hubs in here, the railways connecting them, and cut off the Japanese forces in this area. If it looks like they don't have enough divisions, you can start a push right away. Keep the pressure up. Now, a big advantage of having the Soviet Union with us is that we actually even get the air superiority in some areas. It's of course very convenient. Of course they broke completely my front line. And pushing the Japanese in here is surprisingly easy. Now at this point, if you can, you should pick War Bonds, but if you cannot, because you had to declare war on Japan, you should pick Exhort Heroism to decrease the combat casualties malus to war support, which as you can see is quite big. It's minus 30%. That's going to help. Okay, looks like the Japanese moved some of their divisions away from here, so maybe we can start a push with these guys as well. Except we didn't tell them what to push. Oh no, never mind. Let's tell them what to push first, then start the push. And now our very small divisions, they are still using the same 8 combat with 4 infantry divisions, are surprisingly good, especially in these low supply areas. And with superior firepower, giving them some soft attack from the support companies, these divisions actually perform very well. Of course, if you're wondering why don't we make bigger divisions in terms of width, it's not because these ones are very good, but it is because we need numbers. We need to have armies protecting the coastline. We need to have armies protecting from the Japanese in here. So it's very, very important that we have enough armies. It's actually more important to have enough armies than to have big ones. Churchill! Shut up! I need to disable... Where is it? No. It is disabled. Why is he constantly talking? Incredible. I mean, I love the radio speeches. It makes it very historical. It's amazing, but I don't need Churchill talking in my ears while I'm playing in China. Let's see if we can get an encirclement here. That would be nice. I mean, we did get the encirclement. Let's see if we can kill them. Okay, when you think this army is ready, you can start pushing on this side too. Just to keep the Japanese under as much pressure as possible. As we start destroying some of their divisions too. Very nice. Perfect. Now this first push was very successful. Now we need to be careful a little bit here because this second army is starting to stretch around a little bit, so they will start struggling a bit to hold the front. It's okay though. What we want is we want to keep the pressure up in Korea, so we keep pushing from here. And we go for something like this. We do want to get Pyongyang. Give them a staff office plan. Make sure they have full planning for this push. Not a very difficult push though. Let's go. And look at how easy it seems to push Japan with China by using this strategy. It's quite amazing. At this point we want to rearrange our divisions a little bit and we want to push into Korea. So basically we need one army for this front, one army for this front, and one army to push into Korea. This army, we can start planning an offensive line with them for later on. And here we can just literally push because the Japanese don't have that many divisions. They are not really properly organized. So this shouldn't be too difficult. It's not great though. They're attempting another naval invasion, that's not a big deal. We do need to keep an eye on it. See, in this case they managed to disembark, so we need to make sure that they die before capturing a harbor. Should be fine though. Maybe not entirely fine. Yeah, look at this. Now these divisions will get completely destroyed. That's why it's good for sometimes to let them disembark. Not that I did it on purpose, but okay. Very nice. And Korea is looking very good. But I lost these do want that supply hub. The Japanese will lose some more divisions in here for sure. Destroyed, and Korea is now under our control. Amazing. Okay, now we do want to get rid of some of these Japan up here. And the Japanese are not in a good position at the moment, so we can keep pushing with our offensive army in here. We can try to push for the next supply hub, which I believe is that one. From time to time, Japan may try to naval invade this area, so at this point, what you can do is you can change a little bit how you set up this army. And you can set them on area defense, but only harbors, no longer the coastline. And you can assign them also these new regions here that we conquered. So we should be able to cover all of the harbors. The Japanese will have a little bit of an easier time to naval invade us, but we can keep them under control. It's not a big deal. At 150 political power, you can pick the industrial concern. This one here. It's not absolutely mandatory, so if you're a bit behind with political power, say for example if you had to get rid of the draft dodges, you can instead use the political power for something else that we picked before. You can also pick some of this stuff here, like domestic film industry, and then go for war bonds. That's also very, very good. So you have several viable options. Now we can rearrange these guys to control the central part in here, and we can plan a push with them. I also want to start pushing here. The fact that they are no longer trained is mostly because the artillery, the anti-air, is being produced and added to them. It's not because of the casualties. But in here we can definitely start pushing. That's the Soviet Union pushing. Wondering. We can start pushing with them too. It's time for Japan to suffer. And suffering they are. Okay, once you complete the paratroopers research, which by the way is a big spoiler as to how we're going to get to Japan, what we want to do is we want to start recruiting 7 paratroopers, but we also want to edit the template a little bit. Now we don't have a lot of army experience at the moment, but what we want is a combat width of 10, and then we want to add the support artillery and the support anti-air, although at the moment we cannot do that, so for now we'll not do it. And then we want to recruit 7 paratroopers, which is the maximum paratroopers divisions. And we also want to start producing some transport planes. We're going to assign 5 factories to them, and we're going to take them from infantry equipment. Make sure to adjust the trade. too happy about the fact that here we're not covering it. Hmm? Okay. Things are falling apart quite quickly now for Japan. Also, they don't have any harbors in here, so this is going to be very painful for them. We do need to pay attention to this. Okay, where is this naval invasion? Thank you, Japan. That's very kind of you to organize a naval invasion exactly where I had most of my divisions. Also with one division. That's a massive naval invasion. It's a scary one. What is this guy doing? What are you doing? What is your plan? What is this? Why? Oh my god. Stop immediately. Wait, who is he? He's one of them, no? Ah, okay. He's one of the guys set to area defense. And why do you want to do that exactly? So you only need to protect harbors. And there are no harbors there. What the hell are you doing? Amazing. Amazing stuff. No, but you protect only the freaking harbors. Yeah, I guess there are no harbors at all in that area. Okay, then don't protect it at all. How about this? Only need 8. Well, okay, then protect the coastline. Just don't randomly go there. Funny thing is, this guy randomly walking into the Japanese front actually found the spot. Look at that. He was able to push. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. If Mongolia sends you some divisions, I would accept them. They often do so. And then you can simply set them on naval defense. We do need some additional divisions to protect the coastline. Nice, nice, nice. Really like the way this is going. Still painful to push into Japan like this. This is more China than Japan. But with the Soviet Union, it is indeed much easier. And one of the puppets is down. Very nice. Not that it changes that much, actually, because Japan is still in there fighting. Wonder if we could maybe train our units. a bit risky. Let's see what happens if we do so. Because having them at regular training would help the pushes. I think there are enough Soviet divisions along the front to prevent the Japanese from counterattacking. We should be able to do that. And by the way, let's make sure that these paratroopers have the support artillery and support anti-air that I promised them. Wait, did I forget any focus or did we get everything? We got everything. Okay, so we go for... At this point, in terms of focuses, there isn't that much else useful that you can pick. So I usually go for air production. Very soon we are going to start massively producing our planes, our F1, as soon as we complete this research here. So only 80 days left. And that's probably the most beneficial focus. Although, right now, maybe I will go for army training, just for now. So we train our divisions a little bit faster. They don't have supplies though. Our political power from now on is basically free, as well as civilian industries, although I would, civilian factories, I would use them to build more military factories, of course, in the highest provinces available. And in terms of political power, if we can pick war bonds, that's amazing, so I'm probably going for another Exort Heroism. Soviets don't do anything if you don't attack. Look at them. Chilling. I love these naval invasions with one division. These are amazing. I think I'm pretty much satisfied with the training. As soon as these ones are done, we start the offensives again. Okay, stop training. Start pushing. Ooh. Supplies are a big issue. I think we can push in here. Okay, as soon... Well, let me show you. As soon as you complete the Engines 3 research, it is time to start designing our fighter. And we're going for a bit of a hybrid version, because we don't have the improved small airframe yet, but we already have the Engines 3 and we already have the heavy MG. And we already have the heavy machine guns. So for our F1 design, we're going for... something like this. Make sure to make it auto upgrade, so we can save this design. And we can start producing it, and we want to produce a lot of them. So we're going to decrease the production of artillery and infantry equipment to only 10, and everything else goes into F1. We're also going to pick the air spirits before we pick the doctrines. And then as soon as possible, we're going to pick the doctrines as well. Then we want to build infrastructures and air bases in South Korea. And that's going to be our highest priority at the moment. At this point, we also want to force deploy and train our paratroopers divisions. And we can also set them up in Korea. Of course, we need to adjust trade. And now we can set the continuous focus to air production. You hadn't done it before. The lack of supplies here is killing us. And it's amazing how the Japanese have so many divisions in here and they don't lack supplies. Quite crazy. What we would need to do is cut them off here. I'm going to pick war bonds. I cannot yet. Oh. Then I take domestic film industry. So next we can pick war bonds. Finally, we're breaking the Japanese also on this side. They have so many divisions in here, it's crazy. The good thing is all of these divisions will be completely destroyed very soon. Okay, we can, at this point, usually at this point of the war, depending on how it went, you may be able, especially on how the Soviet Union does, you may be able to kick out Japan, kill Japan completely in here. But now we're a bit stuck in here, we have too many divisions, so I'm going to move away our main offensive army, because actually we need this army to invade Japan soon, and I also want to train them again, since they did take quite a bit of casualties. And we're going to leave the job to push here to the other two armies. They can totally get it done. We don't need the 3 armies on this front anymore. In fact, we are going to struggle with supplies too much if we do. Oh, perfect timing to invade Korea. Just send my armies over. Very nice. How come these guys haven't given up yet? Come on. Oh, there we go. Nice. Now Japan is finding themselves in a very, very tough spot. They don't have their puppets anymore, and the entire area they control in China is crumbling and falling apart. They don't have arbors, so they cannot send away these divisions. They're completely stuck in here. These guys are going completely crazy with the front line, of course. That was to be expected. If you can avoid doing that, that would be absolutely fantastic. So let's see if we can do that a bit better. The issue is that they still have so many divisions in here. Very difficult to push them. This front is such a mess. Okay, so as soon as we complete the improved small airframe, we can adjust the production of F1 and we can change them into the usual F2 design we always make. We add another heavy machine gun and we add the extra fuel tanks. We can save it and we can start producing it. However, at this point, we can also do something else. We can deploy all of our planes in here. And we should already have a fair amount of fighters. Not that many, but they might already be enough. Because now we're going to use a little trick in here. First, let me assign a good general to these guys. So, well, these guys are pushing. This guy is fine. He's actually pretty strong. So, well, our paratroopers are actually almost trained, so we can wait a little bit longer. And then as soon as they are trained, we can start triggering the invasion of Japan. But it should be enough even now. So if you want, you can start triggering the invasion of Japan now. Now, let me talk about something important at this point. If we wait a bit longer, Japan will declare war on the United States. That's not a big deal, although the United States will have a little bit of the war score at the end. That's fine. The main difference is if you wait a bit longer, Vichy France will probably give Vietnam to Japan, so the Japanese will be in here, which is cool. We can use one of the defensive armies we have in here to take it, and then in the peace conference we can also claim Vietnam. So, up to you. You can prolong the war a little bit longer, or you can try to invade Japan as soon as possible. In our case, we're going to wait until the paratroopers are fully trained, and then we're going to do it regardless of what Japan does with the United States. Oh my god, we lost Vladivostok? Seriously? That's not cool because they got the harbor. Come on, get back. Okay, Japan did declare war on the Philippines. Now let's see if they ask, because they don't actually always do that. Let's see if they ask Vichy France to give them Vietnam.
Members of the Senate, the House of Representatives. Yesterday,
now, of course, this was a brilliant idea of Japan. They don't have divisions. All of their divisions are actually stuck in here, and they are all going to die. But I thought declaring war on the United States was a brilliant idea.
the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
And I forgot to take war bonds.
The United States was at peace with that nation.
How are we losing so badly?
And solicitation
Question for the Soviets more than for us.
still in conversation
What are you doing here?
with its government and its emperor, looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after, Japanese air squadrons had commenced bombing in the American island of
Oh, but look at the Japanese dying in here.
Japanese ambassador to
Ah, by the way, guys, this would also be a good time to take Tibet if you want, to take Siam if you want. You just claim them and then you try to take them in the peace conference. However, I will talk about these more in detail a bit later. I would prefer to focus all of the war score that we have, and that, remember, we already have to share with the Soviet Union. We got about 60%, but the Soviet Union still has a bit. I would focus all of it on taking as much as possible from Japan, especially on taking the Japanese Navy.
of war or of armed attack. It will be reported that the distance of Hawaii from Japan
Okay, here we are killing them all, at least. That's very nice, look at that. Nice, okay, now all of the Japanese that we have left are in here. So the fact that the Soviets let them take Vladivostok is not ideal, but that's okay.
for continued peace.
Okay, this is not the paratroopers. Where are the okay, our paratroopers are ready. They are trained, so we can start planning this invasion of Japan. And I will do it with groups of 2, with paratrooping, and we want to take Nagasaki. So we send them all around Nagasaki in the hope that at least some of them will be able to be deployed, let's say.
Cisco and Honolulu.
As long as we take Nagasaki, we are fine. So we assign all of them, and then what is the idea? What is the trick here? So we deploy all of our planes, and we don't have enough fighters to get the air superiority. But if you click here and you start the invasion with paratroopers, and then you keep switching, like from here, 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 often you get the air superiority. At some point, you get the air superiority, especially if the Soviet help.
The Japanese attacked Wake Island. And this morning, the Japanese attacked Midway Island.
Right now, it looks like they mostly have their planes in there, so we can switch somewhere else. We can bait them to send their planes in here. For example, now they have the planes in here. And we switch back here. Right now, they do seem to have a lot of planes in there, so for now, we probably cannot get it done yet, which is okay. We need Vladivostok because Vladivostok has some airfields which the Soviets can use to send their planes to Japan. We do need their planes in Japan.
And well understand the implications for the very life and safety of our nation. As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense. But always will our whole nation remember the character of the onslaught against us.
I really wonder what the Soviets are doing here. Big mess from their part. We don't have supplies and they do. That's terrible.
No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's send these guys to help a bit here. Oh, nice. Finally. Hopefully the Soviet will help a bit more with planes. You need their help to get the air superiority in Japan faster.
Is to keep you now, and your children later, your grandchildren much later, out of a last-ditch war for the preservation of American independence. And all the things that American independence means to you, to me, and ours. Never before, since Jamestown and Plymouth Rock, has our
Okay, now the Japanese are fully kicked out from everywhere. And we can reassign our divisions a little bit. Especially we can use one of these divisions at the border with Vichy France down here in the hope that the Japanese claim it, which doesn't seem to be the case at the moment, but let's see. And now we can start working again on getting the air superiority in here. Let's see if we can get it done this time. Still not. We need more Soviet planes in Japan. Right now the Japanese have too many planes in here. But see, it's getting closer. Because the Soviets are sending their planes now. Now we got green. And we are disembarking. Okay, this is very good. This is absolutely fantastic. As soon as you kick the Japanese out, the Soviets will help with the air superiority. And you will get to Japan. And as soon as you get to Japan, you take Nagasaki, and that's basically a GG. Okay, now that our paratroopers are in Nagasaki, we can keep using them to expand in Kyushu. As we send over, of course, our infantry divisions, we can stop training them now, and we can send them over. Nice. The hell are you doing? Go. Now, of course, at this point of the war, the Japanese have as many as 31 to 58 divisions. A huge amount of divisions. So, they're not able to put up much of a resistance. Indeed. Besides, they're also fighting the Americans at the same time, so their divisions are even spread around. And we have the air superiority. We can also set air supplies in here. And we can send the infantry mostly in the northern area of Japan with the order to push directly for Tokyo. But at this point, it's just a formality to take down Japan. Of course, Germany will attack the Soviet Union, and we are in a faction with them. So that's a question for later. Let's see. For now, we don't care that much. Later on, if you decide that you want to help the Soviet Union, you can get involved in World War II. You can send your divisions to fight Germany, or you can simply ignore the Soviet Union. You can leave their faction, and nobody forces us to help them against Germany. So that's entirely up to you.
Republics of this hemisphere. Please think of Hawaii as an outpost of defense in the Pacific. Yet, the Azores are closer to our shores in the Atlantic than Hawaii is on the other side. tide turned capital against labor, and vice versa. They tried to reawaken long slumbering racial and religious tensions, which they knew should have no place in this country. And there are also American citizens, many of them in high places, who unwittingly, in most cases, are aiding and abetting the work of these agents. I do not charge these American citizens with being foreign agents, but I do charge them
Tokyo is about to fall, and with it, Japan.
with the kind of work that the dictators
Okay, Tokyo is taken. Let's check. And Japan is below 20% victory points, so they will capitulate very soon. Now, this is the end of the war. This wasn't the smoothest, by the way. I tested this run several times, and I was often able to finish the war much earlier than October. But still, it's only 1941, October 1941, and as China, we were able to take back all of China and defeat Japan. Now, this is not over, because there is a very interesting peace conference ahead of us. As always, before a peace conference, I recommend making a save. And as you can see here, in my last test run from the save, Japan was almost down on the 8th of July, so a lot earlier than this. But again, there is a bit of RNG in the run. Of course, not everything depends on us. Especially, the Soviet Union performed very poorly in this case, and they lost Vladivostok, and China took a very long time to capitulate. So the combination of those two things slowed us down a little bit. I mean, it's only a couple of months. In the end, it doesn't change. It doesn't change that much. Now, let's talk about the peace conference as soon as it triggers. There we go. Now, we got 66% of the war score, which is actually very high. Although this is not always the case. We had particularly high casualties with China, which with China are amazing because it means higher war score, and we have manpower to afford them. Also, we were fast enough for the United States not to have any war score at all, so it will be only us and the Soviet Union. Now, let me talk about this peace conference because this is interesting. Even if you didn't have that much war score, you can completely ignore everything which is our core, which is everything in here except for North and South Korea. Because this stuff, the Soviet Union will kindly give it to us. So they will spend their own points to give these states to us. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to annex Korea. This is going to be a priority. And then I usually puppet Japan. And for Japan, Taiwan is also our core. Let's not say too much about this, but Taiwan is a core of China. So we are going to puppet Japan instead. Let's see if we have enough points. We don't have enough points for all of Japan, so in the first round of the conference. Okay, so the Soviet will contest Korea, but that's okay. We'll fight them for it. And then let's make sure that we puppet all of mainland Japan and of course of Okinawa, where I will be on vacation when you watch this video. And ignore all of the little islands in here, unless you think you really need them. In that case, you can contest Japan for them, but I don't think we need those islands. Except maybe if you want to invade the United States later on, you can, but again, I would prioritize taking the stuff in Japan. Oh wow, the Soviet Union didn't contest us at all. And the reason for that is that what I would do at this point is I would try to take as much of the Japanese Navy as possible. We don't have a Navy, and basically in this way we will get not only a Navy, but a pretty decent Navy. So that's awesome. You can also take the Finnish amazing Navy, of course. Okay, last round of the peace conference. As you can see, we can take entirely the Navy. Then, of course, if you claim Tibet or Siam, if Vichy France gave Vietnam to Japan, then you also have those things that you can puppet or annex for yourself. That's entirely up to you, but in my opinion, the best possible thing we can do is to take entirely the Japanese Navy, so that we have a Navy for the rest of the run if we decide to continue it. And then with the remaining points, you can add resource rights and war reparations to Japan. make sure that the Soviet took everything else. But look at this. It's amazing that all of this stuff, instead of wasting our points, the Soviet Union is wasting their points to give it to us. That's why I say that this guide is very interesting for peace conferences. Because we had 2 peace conferences in both. We didn't have the majority of the... Well, here we had the majority of the war score, but we didn't have the entirety of the war score, and we got way more than we were supposed to. So that is it. We can confirm and close it. Now all of the Chinese cores are safely under our control. It is still 1941. We have a very good industry. We have infinite manpower. We have good divisions, which we are now going to make even better. And Japan is our puppet. We succeeded where the Mongols failed. Kami-Kaze didn't save Japan. This time it's China who dominates. Now, before we end the video, let me just show you what I usually do to my infantry template after kicking out Japan. In this case, we were a bit late and we were already invading Japan, so I didn't have enough time to change the template. I didn't want to do it while invading Japan. I would add 5 infantry battalions to bring the total combat width to 18. And then I would add the 1st artillery battalion for a total combat width of 21. And this template starts being pretty decent. And that's it. If you want to continue this run, you have plenty of options. Nobody can compete with us. We can decide to help the Soviet Union against the German Reich and the Axis, or we can just abandon them to their fate and just leave the faction and mind our own business. We are free to do whatever we want. So guys, this was a lot of work. It may look easy actually if you look at the strategy this way, and that's always the aim for my strategies. They must look easy, they must be easy and consistent. Even a newer player should be able to achieve this strategy without too many issues. Of course, Communist China is a bit more challenging compared to other strategies I made before. But the fact that we were pretty unlucky in this run and we still got it done by October 1941 shows how consistent the strategy is. If you enjoyed the video and the run, please do not forget to support the channel by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving me a comment. It really helps, and it is also very gratifying for me to see your comments and to see that you actually enjoyed the run, or that the guide itself was useful for you. If you want me to continue this run, let me know in the comments, although I don't think I will continue the run. I think this is a perfect starting point for future expansion, but probably not necessary. And I want to offer a bit more content. In the upcoming weeks, I will be making a few short guides dedicated to doctrines, spirits, and templates. And then, of course, we need to decide what is next in terms of country guides. I will probably start a new poll on the channel, so you can pick yourself the favorite country to cover next. Guys, if you stayed with me until now, as usual, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.